Another question asked is like, what rules are applicable in a restricted visibility? Restricted visibility, we know rule number 19 is applicable, but other than rule number 19, what all other rules are applicable in restricted visibility? So, first of all, to determine the visibility is restricted, we need to determine what is the range of visibility. Just for information, this all guidance is taken from MGN 369. So the range of visibility in restricted visibility, for determining if restricted visibility exists. Nowhere exact figure of visibility range has been given. So the guidance is the master shall give guidance. How does the master give guidance? From his night order or standing instructions. Or order. Secondly, it needs to be given in the SMS by the company. They should give some they should give some guidance. And also, if the OOW, the duty officer, if in case he is in any doubt if it is a restricted visibility or not restricted, the doubt comes, that means he will assume that that is the case and restricted visibility it is. If he has got a doubt that it is a restricted visibility case, then that's a restricted visibility. That's how he will treat it as. What rules are applicable? We'll go to rule number 5. Rule number 5 is applicable. Lookout at all times, because it says a vessel at all times shall maintain a proper lookout by sight and hearing, as well as by all available means. All available means, what happens is radar, then sound reception facilities. Also, there is another thing, AIS, that we can use. AIS also helps us, and the GMDSS equipment like the VH. But over here, in case of AIS is not, you will not be used for determining if risk of collision exists. AIS will expressly be used only for early identification of targets. And in the GMDSS equipment like the VHF will help you in giving situational awareness, like as if you're going inside a channel and you hear on the VTS, here on the VHF, the VTS giving instruction to some vessel who is just about to cast off or just leaving the berth. So you know that in some time in the future, after some time, you're going to face another vessel. So VHF will be used for situational awareness. AS will be used only for early detection of targets only. Basically, as written here, should not form the basis of deciding ROC exist. AIS and the GMDSS equipment. Then next rule is rule number 6. Rule number 6 says safe speed. Now, what is our safe speed? Safe speed has been defined, but first of all, no absolute figure has been given for safe speed. What is the safe speed? Why? Because it is always under continuous review. Review of what? Review of the situation, review of the circumstances, like whether the vessel is loaded or in ballast condition. It will affect your stopping distance, the traffic density around you, the state of visibility around you. Then at all times proceed at safe speed. A vessel shall at all times proceed at safe speed. So at all times restricted visibility is also included in that one. Factors that will help you to decide. By all vessels, it has been by all vessels. Factors to decide safe speed have been divided into two. By all vessels, no matter what kind of vessel you are, you have been given guidance. And if you are a little bit, you have got an operational radar, then for that also the guidance is given. So by all vessels, how can they get guidance about safe speed? From their wheelhouse poster and also from their maneuvering booklet. It gives their advance transfer, it gives their stopping distance in during different states of the vessel. It is in ballast, loaded condition. Then another one will be rule number 7, that is determining if risk of collision. It says shall use all available means appropriate to the prevailing circumstances and condition to determine if risk of collision exists. If you have any doubt, it also says if in case of any doubt, such risk of collision shall exist. So if you have got any doubt, if there is a risk of collision, assume the worst and assume risk of collision exists. Express guidance from the contracts. The wording is such risk shall. It does not say may, it says shall be deemed to exist. And what we can do, full use of navigational equipment. What navigational equipment you have at your disposal? Radar. We are talking about restricted visibility, so radar will be having our assisting us to the max. And what does radar helps us to do? Radar helps us to early appraisal of the situation and of risk of collision. It gives us early warning provided it is being used correctly. Another rule which is applicable is rule number 8, action to avoid collision. Action to avoid collision, what does it says? Small alteration of course or speed shall be avoided. No small alteration has to be done. The alteration of course has to be large enough to be readily apparent. How? If someone is observing visually or by radar. In restricted visibility, you are using radar, the other vessel is also using radar. It says large enough, so small alteration of course, small succession of alteration of course shall be avoided. In restricted visibility, if you take action, it has to be large enough. Even in other ways, in open sea situation or in clear visibility, action has to be large enough. In restricted visibility, expressly 60 to 90 degree course alteration is advised. Then another, as per rule number 8, it says sufficient sea room. If there is sufficient sea room, then alteration of course is the most effective action when provided it is taken in good time and does not result in another close quarter situation. So if you have sufficient sea room, restricted visibility is there, you have sufficient sea room. If there is only one or two target, you have sufficient sea room. If they are on the forward of your beam, you have sufficient sea room. You have astern, you have a beam, sufficient sea room. So in such a situation, if it is taken in good time, alteration of course is the most effective action. If you have got a target above your beam, one target, two target, or one target ahead of your beam, another target above your beam, still, and you have sufficient sea room, alteration of course is the most effective action. The first priority will be given to alteration of course. Then if necessary to avoid collision, you cannot decide what to do, or if you do not have any sufficient sea room, what can you do? You can slacken your speed or take all the way off. How you will take all the way? By stopping or reversing your means of propulsion. Let's say if, for example, necessary to avoid collision, slacken speed, take all the way off. You have got two vessels, risk of collision exists, both are on your bow and you are overtaking them. Now you are overtaking them, you are on more speed as compared to them. Risk of collision exists from both of those. One is on your starboard bow, another one is on your port bow. What can you do? The rule says avoiding action of alteration of course to the port for any target forward of the beam, you can alter course to starboard. But over here you have another target which is on your starboard beam and you are overtaking vessel. Overtaking vessel is supposed to stay clear. Basically what is happening, you are coming in shortage of sea room. So what you can do, you will slacken your speed. If required, you will also take all the way off by stopping or reversing your means of propulsion if necessary to avoid collision. Then we come to the main rule, rule number 19, restricted visibility. Restricted visibility, we all know what it says, so won't be going deep into that one. But if cannot see the other vessel visually, rule number 19 applies. The thing is, if cannot see the other vessel visually, rule number 19 applies. One situation that I typically came is, you are a power driven vessel going happily, you have got another power driven vessel on your port bow over here visually seeing, but on your one side there is a patch of fog or maybe rain, anything, visibility is 0. Now which rule is applicable? Many times it gets confused. I was also being confused before. because rule number 19 is when a vessel not in sight of one another. Over here we are in sight of one another, but also there is restricted visibility. It says when operating in or near an area of visibility. So in that case, we need to see in this fog band if there is any other target present. What we can do by two things: adjusting the radar settings and try to locate deeply in that fog patch if there is any other target. If there is any other target and you cannot see that target, so rule number 19 will be applicable through and through. In a typical MCOR scenario, you can tell the surveyor, I'll adjust my radar settings to properly identify if there is any target inside that patch. And you will ask the surveyor, is there any target inside that patch? He will say yes or no. If he says yes, rule number 19 applicable. If he says no, there is no, then in that case only there are two vessels existing. You can see both of these. So between PDV to PDV, which rule applicable? Crossing rule is applicable over here. Any third target in the restricted visibility patch? Yes, go to rule number 19. No third target in the restricted visibility patch? No, apply crossing situation. Now second situation can be in case of remotely operated unmanned vessels. The vessel is over there, operator sitting somewhere in the land. All of a sudden, due to internet, poor connectivity, or some system equipment malfunction, what happens? He loses the CCTV camera feedback, or he goes completely blind because of some malfunction in the equipment or anything. So what he will do, and there are other vessels for that. In such a case also, codex are saying visibility is restricted for him now. He will comply by rule number 19. Restricted visibility is there? Yes. Targets are there? Yes. If risk of collision exists? Yes. Rule number 19 applied. Basically, if he cannot see anything, if he has gone totally blind, if he cannot see the other vessel, but he detect now he has got only the radar. So as per definition, it becomes restricted visibility for him. Are there any vessels in the vicinity? They become his target on the radar. He'll determine if risk of collision exists. Risk of collision existing? Yes, he'll apply rule number 19. If it is not existing, no other target, or even if there are target and no risk of collision exists with them, happy day for him. Happy day. And also one thing, there are no stand-on vessels in restricted visibility if ROC. If risk of collision exists, there are no stand-on vessels in restricted visibility. Thank you.